I warn you about spoilers for almost all parts of the Assassin's Creed series. They say history is written in blood, and in that blood stories are told in the language of our genes, which is perfect if you're an evil corporation that wants to steal the memories of heroes and villains long dead. This is perfect if you're an evil corporation that wants to steal the memories of heroes and villains from long ago to capture ancient artifacts and rule the world, which sounds great to me. Assassin's Creed lets us step into the shoes of beloved characters from history and witness many a tragic tale. The fates of our allies in these games can be downright depressing at times, and some still are today. Get ready to say Google Alexa play Despacito as we strap on our personal animus to experience the saddest deaths in Assassin's Creed. Lucy Stillman. It's not going to happen, Warren. You continue to disappoint in every way possible. Many players were glad she was killed after the revelation that she was a traitor to the Miles gang, but we never got to know her side of the story. Numerous interactions in the series suggested that Lucy had grown fond of Desmond and co., and her villainous motives were mentioned only briefly in a few dialogues. Overall, it's just a shame that the chemistry between her and Desmond was thrown away. She was made even dirtier when a former creative director who was supposedly Lucy's actress demanded royalties for all future games, resulting in her character being killed off in what felt like a series of half-baked events. Do you think Lucy regretted what she did? I always thought I knew her well, but that obviously wasn't the case. Onwald, you may find this strange, but our lively chat here inspired me to write a short poem. Now that I'm brand new to the series, this charming young gentleman is doomed to go to the John. No matter what you do, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty for Ivor, but he's not what you'd call an assassin. In the game, he's described as not very smart, but very witty. Hunwald considers Ivor his most loyal friend. God can't catch a break. Worst of all, the way Hunwald goes out is brutally realistic. No epic blaze of glory or wise dramatic speech from a sage. Now he's just cold, and he hopes to sit with his father against suit. Oh, Assassin's Creed Achilles Davenport, please, all I ask is a moment of your time. Get the hell off my land. Mentor in the Obi-Wan to Assassin Shay Cormac's Anakin. Mr. Davenport's life has been full of turbulence. From the beginning, one of his most notable accomplishments is training the Master. Assassin Connor. During the events of AC3, Achilles fronts an understandably cold, harsh exterior. His former crew was killed by one of their own, and the resulting skirmish left him permanently crippled after losing his family to typhoid and living in an empty environment. Nevertheless, he considered Connor a kind of son during the many years of his education. Achilles fell asleep peacefully, but not before Connor could return with a painting of his family. He left a handwritten note apologizing for not being able to say goodbye in person, but that he was hopeful for the future of America after seeing what they had accomplished together. These following scenes really bring it home because you stop X to dig his grave yourself and put up the family portrait at his request, and then why should I do you any honor if you don't first give back the robe and the blade and the arrows and all the years of training and knowledge I gave you? Yusuf race you down. Another leader of the Brotherhood and friend of the legendary assassin Ezio during his time in Constantinople, Yusuf is something of a comic in these games and introduces himself with friendly banter to probably one of the deadliest men in the world. I had a hard time remembering the Italian gibberish. That doesn't mean he's just there for laughs, though, because he introduces you to the signature hooked blade, teaches you how to make explosives, and is an extremely competent fighter. During the time we spent with him in Revelations, I finally felt like Ezio had a friend and buddy, which made it all the worse when he was killed at Etsu's request to protect Sophia. The man went down swinging, as you can see from the bodies, but was laid to rest shortly after, to the player's dismay. For this reason, we can't have nice things while Yusuf's assassin waits and watches from the arsenal. Fight me laughing and show him what it means to cross the assassins. Desmond Miles, if Des has brought the series to where it's today. Through his lineage, Desmond and to a lesser extent his father William are related to a number of famous assassins from all times. This made D the perfect target for Abstergo Industries and future target of Abstergo Industries, and the rest of the storylines only got crazier from here on out. We spent so much time with him building up his team of resistance fighters and colleagues, but in an attempt to complete his story, Desmond was destined to make the ultimate sacrifice to save most of the living world. You know, the usual stuff of the main characters. It's very sad for William, sure, but even sadder for the player base. because it meant for the series that most didn't really enjoy playing as a floating iPad in the modern storylines as seen in Black Flag and Rogue, although as of AC Valhalla we're making great strides to return to the modern Resistance as we have real characters again. No man should pass from this world without receiving some kindness. Altair. One might expect the life of an assassin to be short, which isn't the case for the OG grandfather of the series Altair, who passed away at the ripe old age of 92. After many harrowing adventures in the first game, we finally witnessed the resolution of his chapter a few installments later, which made for such a sad scene, was seeing the once iconic assassin now struggling to simply sit down. He instructed his family to evacuate the castle, and to ensure MacGuffin's safety, he'd bury himself with the castle's secrets until the time was right. He may have died peacefully, surrounded by his accomplishments, but he was alone, without his son. Yet his legacy has lived on for generations and will always be a fan-favorite character. We love to look at Mary Read in the guise of James Kidd. Mary quickly became a popular character in the ranks of Eddie Kenway's pirate crew. This adventurous woman was a masterful sailor, free runner, disguise artist, and persuader to the assassin order. She played an important role in Edward's joint efforts with the Brotherhood, nearly stealing his heart in the process. The two didn't sail to the sunny south, however, for Mary was captured and threatened to get the rope. Things took an even worse turn when the players found out she was pregnant and couldn't survive in the poor living conditions in which she was being held. Kenway and co. made a rescue attempt, but they were too late as the disease had already taken hold of her. Elise de Lasser. A story as old as time. The love story between a Templar and an assassin. You cheated on her. You took too long. At least she really is a bookending AC Unity story, because you meet her as a child at the side of the protagonist Arno, only to have her end up in your arms at the end of the game. She isn't only a noble woman and daughter of a high-ranking Templar, but also a capable sword fighter who can take on any assassin. Of all the entries on this list, her death felt completely unnecessary to the events that followed. During the final boss fight, Elise charges hatefully toward Boss Magoo with no way to save him. She's hit by an explosion of a magic sword. Why can't they give us that? Yes, the House of Dylacer ends here with Elise having no known siblings, and the last piece of her that remains is solely her love letters to Arno. Adventure you seek in Captain Edward can cradle your spirit. Blackbeard, the very same scourge of the seven seas from Tales of Legend. Match here spent his time, hype you up as a trusted pirate brother and act as a sort of mentor in piracy. The game has taken steps to really get you interested in the guy in all his theatricality. Men will fall to their knees and beg their lord. Blackbeard's motto in life was to live free without being subject to a man's rule, always preferring fear to violence. But just before Blackbeard's planned retirement, history repeated itself as Edward Kenway and Ed Thatch found themselves fighting the Royal Navy, and the saddest part is how the final scene with our pirate comrade plays out as Thatch's regretful last words ring out. In a world without gold, we could have been heroes, I suppose. They spared us the grim detail that the man who slew Blackbeard is supposed to have hung his head on the end of his ship in IRL, so at least there's that sad Kenway, another ghost for the bunch. That's what you get when you have cool friends Ezio and the Auditore family. The #1 spot has to go to series legend Ezio, and thus to the fates of all the male members of the House of Auditore. Who could forget the merciless demise of the assassin family? Got the Game of Thrones treatment at the expense of an edgy Care Mario was executed on the street. Paterio, a young and sickly boy, hung her brother Federico and her loving father Giovanni. You guessed it, both hanged. Maria. She's fine. These events haunt the players to this day as one of the most tragic sequences in the history of the games. Ezio, even the surviving son, was thrust into the work of the assassins. Through this event he survived many agonizing battles and finally succumbed to a heart attack. No man was strong enough to kill him, but nature didn't take its course until he performed one last heroic act. When I was a young man I had freedom, but I didn't see it. I had time, but I didn't know it, and I had love, but I didn't feel it. Many decades would pass before I understood the meaning of all three things. All in all, the developers made us like these mostly fictional characters, so it's only natural that we're even sadder when they're taken from us. They'll all live on in our consoles, in our minds for eternity. That's all. Thanks for watching. Gamer, did you shed a beast in this video? Let me know in the comments. Feel free to hit us up with a subscription and a like if you like what we do here. If you liked it, the Assassins. Thanks. I was Josh with Gamage. Facts. Game on, and see you in the next you.